Okay, good evening, everybody. It is Monday. Going to be chatting about the last couple of weeks since I've been offline and not giving you guys any attention other than the trips during my drives. So today's talk is going to be a lot about the last couple of weeks since I've been away, and then going to get on to the topic that came to mind after having read an article about a tech entrepreneur who was embarrassed about his idea, his little project that he was doing, and I really would want to bite that in the bud and don't think that being embarrassed about your own creativity or your own interests is something that you should feel unless you're doing something really awkward. Then yeah, you should probably feel embarrassed about that even in private. So, thank you all for joining. I'm going to talk about the last couple of weeks. I've been offline, so what has happened? Um, I actually got into a really stressful experience. So, normally, when we are in full swing, working really, really hard, and getting a lot of projects done, we typically don't reach our maximum. So, our maximum being like the amount of orders that we can get done in 1 week based on actually how much time we have to do those orders. And we both kind of me and Priscilla both reached our max. So what does that entail? What does that look like? I remember I was working. For me, it was I was working on cookies. I was getting cookie dough done, and all of a sudden, I just felt completely overwhelmed. I literally could not even work. My hands just didn't move. It was the most unusual experience I've ever had, and I was kneading some dough, getting it prepared for rolling so I can do these decorated cookies, and I couldn't move. I had to drop everything and just walk out the kitchen, go outside, and walk around. And it hit me pretty hard. I actually started to get a little teary, and um, the emotions were really starting to hit. And it was short lived as far as being teary eyed and the emotions hitting me. Just the overwhelmingness, and then trying to understand what was happening, what was going on, what was causing these feelings. And what I came to find out was, in assessing it, was the overall amount of effort that was needed to get the job done. It wasn't that I wasn't able to do it. It was understanding the amount of time commitment that was necessary for my role, my job, to get it done, so that the next step for Priscilla, for the decorating team to get to their portion of the job, I was going to be falling way behind, and that meant them falling way behind and possibly not even completing the projects. And that feeling is not something that we get very often. I think the last time we really got into that state was probably about a year ago, around this time, usually because that's when all the orders were starting to come in. So what happens is we hit this wall and we get stuck. This idea where we are not able to finish. What do we do? It's pretty simple. I mean, you have to understand that if you took on more than you can chew, either drop the order, which means if you're able to, like us, we have a lot of connections in the bakery world where we can pass the project off to them. We won't get the order, but we want to make sure the customer is satisfied with getting an order completed. We go ahead and commit to it because we can adjust our work method to make it completed. Again, for us, it's always going back to understanding quality over quantity, specifically for our type of baking, our type of bakery, where it's very much visual appeal is the primary before they taste it. So if they don't like what they see, then they obviously are not going to be very happy. So what we want is the customer to visually enjoy what they see and then consume it, and then there is that fulfillment uh, from actually eating the product. So you can pass it off, you can adjust your workload, or you can actually modify or actually the order by first contacting them and seeing if they're willing to modify it. Sometimes that works, not always the most the best option. We've seen that work a couple of times where we looked at what they were going to be eating for their event. We understood a little bit about what it is they enjoyed from our consultation with them, and then we contact them and say, you know what, I noticed you picked, let's say, cheesecake bites, which never gets taken away. Everyone loves cheesecake, but just for the sake of argument, we're going to say cheesecake. They didn't really like it, but they figured that everyone else wants it, so they decided to get cheesecake. We tell them, hey, we saw you like chocolate chip cookies, and you love it. You told us about this, um, these times when you were a little kid, yada 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 yada, and so why don't we double up the chocolate chips or have a little bit of fun with it? Change some of the chips around. We'll do some butterscotch. We'll do some dark chocolate. Something that at the end of the day is actually really easy for us and also makes the customer happy. So that one doesn't happen as often. Actually, it's easier to just pass off the order when we can. Again, that doesn't happen very often. Or if we can, the best way is to modify our work strategy for the week, which tends to be the most common thing that we'll do. We'll modify how we're doing it. Sometimes that just means at the end of the day, I need to bust my butt for longer during part of the week than I would typically do it, just to make sure that the decorating team has the necessary time. And for me, I don't mind the extra effort, the extra time. I don't mind having to stay late, work longer, because I enjoy what I do. So at the end of the day, once once I go to bed, yes, my feet don't want to work, my hands don't want to work, my head's already turned off, but I feel really, really happy about what I accomplished. So when it comes to hitting that wall, it's a terrible experience to just hit the wall and not be able to move forward. But it's uh, Priscilla and I actually took some time to discuss, okay, what was going on. The main issue that was happening was was actually twofold. There was two major things that all happened to be around decorated cookies of all things. So we can blame decorated cookies for this issue. Uh, we had to revisit an order. We took on a very large order for a local nonprofit that was paying quite a bit for decorated cookies. And then we had an additional five other orders for decorated cookies or branded cookies or some sort of like cookie use for our sugar cookie. And that strapped me down far more than my capacity, because I also had to bake the cakes too, more than Priscilla and her team, which is another cookie artist. Um, they were just beyond max capacity, and then having to manage all that efficiency was more than what we could chew. So we really, again, we were focusing on in this instance, we wanted to take on the quantity. And the reason for that was actually ends up being a lack of communication. So what we are seeing is that there are some areas of weakness, even lack of communication from our own selves, where we were adding on orders beyond what we already had established. So, and then there's adding on orders from other team members. So that created double issue right off the bat. So we had to pull things back and focus on how do we manage, um, or where actually specifically where did these things go wrong? And we found out a couple of particular areas. One is that uh, we didn't assess the orders for the week, and we had gotten into a really good um, process of looking at the orders a week ahead, sometimes 2 weeks ahead, especially when it starts to get really really busy, and assess delivery routes, assess total number of orders, um, and assess how to keep open space for the last minute online orders that we based on the number that we do accept per week, and all those little factors and all of it for. But once wedding season hit off this season, and blame it on COVID, but I really just blame it on our process and not following through on it. We let go of those weekly check-ins and didn't do them as strategically, didn't really follow the tactics that we assigned ourselves, and then we didn't just, flat out, we just completely eventually ignored it, just looked at what was basically on the wall for orders to do, and took it in stride from that. And then that ultimately led to communication breakups that got worse and worse and worse over time. Other than that, though, those got fixed, and that was more of an internal hiccup. But customers were super happy, which is most important. Got a lot of phone calls, email thank yous. Just got one today actually from one couple who's an older couple. They're having an outdoor wedding at a really cool place. Never been there. It was a very Western cowboy type thing going on out there. But the venue had a lot of really strict COVID requirements as well as health requirements for catering and for dessert in general, or any kind of food in general. So one of the things that we had to do was we had to wrap all the desserts. So we're talking about cannolis that are put in a package that you would typically put a decorated cookie, or dip strawberries put in the same package. So a lot of packaging, and then we have treats that can't be packaged. Like, how do you package a mini cupcake by itself in a wrapper without smudging the buttercream? Let you guys figure that one out. That's actually impossible. So what we found were some ways to get around it and make it efficient. Not only that, we Priscilla did a fantastic job of working with the client to strategize on ways to get around it, things to ask the caterer, and then also things that we will do to ensure that they will be happy with their evening, with their wedding, and that you know at the end of the night, when it's time to consider all these delicious desserts, everyone's going to feel happy, especially then. And it turned out really, really nice. Actually, what was really cool about that was they had a cake that had barbed wire around it. It was piped barbed wire, um, and then because of the requirements of having it wrapped, not going to wrap the cake. So I guess they made an encasement, a glass encasement that they literally put around the cake. It was a square encasement, and it almost made the cake look like it's some sort of really expensive antique. It was really, really neat. So we'll get some pictures up on our website, our Facebook page, probably for pretty soon. But that was really good. So the biggest issue that we experienced again was that hiccup in communication, which led to not only Priscilla hitting a wall, but me hitting a wall. And Priscilla would probably attest to it. It's rare that I hit a wall like that. So it was good that we learned our lesson in that regard. Other lessons that we learned is that apparently we really do need someone to do our deliveries, because I can't do the majority of them, and so that's just not going to work. And we got a chance to test out a a new colleague, a new person that will be coming aboard, and she's very, very excited. And she actually took good portion of deliveries without issue. And actually, what was great about it is that she didn't sit there and wait for directions. More of a grab and go and get going. I'm like, that's the type of attitude we need. Go, girl. Entrepreneur spirit right there. So we really appreciate that, and actually made a really heavy weekend turn into a really easy weekend, because I was basically available to assist the baker in the bakery on some of the items that needed assistance, and Priscilla could get ahead on other products, so which was really important, because that definitely died down her stress level, which is absolutely imperative to that make sure that we're all um, in a good mindset and feeling productive and not feeling overwhelmed in any way. Because once we get feeling overwhelmed, that's when the hiccups, that's when the mess ups start. And yes, they do happen. Even though we are so well trained and so well versed in our products, we can definitely get overwhelmed, and it sucks. But yeah, so let's feel free in the comments and let me know kind of experiences you've had as a bakerpreneur. Have you run into those instances where you just hit a wall and don't know how to get around it, or how you got around it? If you did, I would like to hear what your thoughts and your experiences are on that. But today's topic, I want to get back to this this random experience of saying, feeling that you are embarrassed about your business. You create, but it's mind-boggling. I can't understand why you would feel embarrassed. Like, does this have to do with this whole culture of feeling, the humility, feeling the humbleness that seems to be plaguing the the whole world right now? You have to feel humble and humiliated about what you do, and you should never feel express happiness and joy about the things you produce. And this tech entrepreneur actually was saying that he was embarrassed about his online car enthusiasm platform he created. I won't go into details about it. If I can find the link, I'll share it in the in the description later on. But I'll have to go hunt for it again. But it just got me thinking, like, do bakerpreneurs, folks who are interested in baking as a career, specifically making their own business out of baking, do they get into the same mindset where they are feeling embarrassed about becoming uh, a full-time baker because of certain issues? And I was thinking of some, and what I got was, one, it doesn't require a lot of knowledge. It's just really easy to get into. So that might make it seem like you can be dumb and get into it even though they're knowledgeable. So they're embarrassed for that. Two is that their family will look down upon them, possibly even their friends, people they look forward to getting positive feedback from, will may say that's just a dumb career. Why would you do that? Um, I can kind of attest to that one a little bit. I know what my parents were a little like, baker, I don't know, it's not really stable. You don't know what's going to happen. I don't care. I love doing the work. Um, and then three is I call it the imagination. It's more of a they're coming up with this, like, just as almost as an excuse not to become a bakerpreneur. Basically, it's just a complete injustice to their own happiness. Um, and then four, they just it. I guess you could say it's very similar to the same one. It's just it's finding an excuse not to do it, and I don't think that's really an imagination issue. It's more of a just simply they are not really in it to win it. They don't really want to do it and care less. And why would you make excuses anyway? So there's no reason to get embarrassed. But I really want to focus on those first three. At first, talking about the idea that others are going to look at your business, whether it's, so the first two, your friends, family, and then just people in general who you meet, who you discuss about that you are a bakerpreneur, you're an entrepreneur in making your own bakery, and you're trying it out all by yourself or with a partner or with a group of people who are equally enthusiastic about this business, but you're embarrassed you're embarrassed about it. Why the heck are you embarrassed about it? Listen, this is your business. This is something you created for you, that something that you should feel absolutely happy about and enjoy doing, and strive to achieve the most possible best outcome you can. And that best outcome should not be like, oh, I'm going to become a bakerpreneur so I can become a millionaire. If it's entirely monetary, well, there's plenty of careers that will give you a big amount of monetary. I know the financial arena can do very well for you. You can make hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, but to be prepared to work 100 hours a week. Well, already doing that now, so I guess every career is different. But if you love doing what you do, what the hell does it matter what other people think? If you're doing something illegal, you're stealing from people, and you're happy about that, which I never understand. Then yeah, you should feel embarrassed. You should feel horrible about that. It's a terrible way to live. But to start a bakery, it sounds real easy from the get-go, and truthfully, it is. All you need is an oven. You need some basic equipment. Honestly, if you don't have a KitchenAid mixer, but you have a whisk and you have a bowl, you can get started as a baker. It's very, very simple. But just like with any business, it has a lot of challenges, a lot of requirements to really grow the business, and especially one that is quite saturated. You're up against a lot of other competition. You're just getting started, and these other folks already have been doing it for a while. Regardless of them, of what other people who are already in the business, what's most important is of what you are passionate about. If you have the absolute thrill of making cheesecake, and find that cheesecake is the most important thing in the world, and if you have to do it a certain way and a certain technique, and you want to improve it, and it's just you want to see the best cheesecake made every single time, and you want others to experience it, um, and you want to offer it as a product that you can sell in exchange for money, so you can continue to improve upon your recipes and your skills for making cheesecake. Why would you feel embarrassed about that? I know there's two cheesecake companies in Arizona I can name that are not Cheesecake Factory, that are just small businesses. They're very, very passionate about making cheesecake. And so there is absolutely no reason that others are involved other than to purchase your products, to basically give you a barometer of whether or not it is something that you can continue because you can financially become sustained, and to continue the process of building out the business so you can continue the enjoyment of making more cheesecake. Now, it's not always the case that you're in it just for that product. For me, I have the joy of building a business and seeing it grow. I'm fascinated with how businesses can go from nothing to something huge. I know that this business is not no tech startup, so it's not going to magically get IPO next month or something like that. It's a much tougher road to grow it. But the thrill of being challenged every single day to work harder, to try new things, to try new techniques, and to see how those have worked out over time, to try new products, to streamline products, to changing methods, to buying new equipment. All those little experiences making me really, really thrilled, because I'm in a position that where I can grow a business from the ground up and get to experience that. That experience is something that I just love in my life. Is what makes me get up and excited about getting up and getting straight to the kitchen, straight to baking. And then, yeah, of course, do I want to do this 24/7? No, I do want to enjoy other things in life. But am I embarrassed about saying that I'm a baker? Absolutely not. I stand proud every single time that someone asks, "What do you do?" I bake. That's what I do. I enjoy baking. So then that generates a conversation. Oh, what do you bake? And then I get to explain to them how much I love my business, how much I love what I do, and I'm absolutely not embarrassed about being in this business. And then my friends and family. I can tell you what now. My friends and family very skeptic about the business. They told me so. I've heard their cries and complaints and whining. I don't hear any of it anymore. And I honestly didn't care, could care less what they thought. I am doing this because I want to do this. I know my wife wanted to do this, and I wanted to see her get this experience. So she's getting the experience that makes her satisfied and love doing what it is. And hopefully, I can get her on here one time to to join me and express what that is. Um, and she is absolutely not embarrassed about stating that she's a baker. We're not, hugely successful millionaires that the entire globe knows. Perhaps one day that's not the goal. The goal is to grow, for me, is to grow a great bakery company, and then perhaps do it again. And then after that one, do it again. This is a huge joy in my life, and saying I'm a baker is just makes it even better. But the embarrassment comes because the simple fact that others' opinions are more important than your own, which is basically what we're taught when we're in things like public school and stuff, that you should be concerned about what the others think as well. They may not appreciate those things. They may have something to say, and so other people's opinions matter. You should really consider what how it's going to affect everybody. What you do is going to affect everybody. So therefore, everybody's opinions, they have something that they can express. Their opinion might have something important that you might need to know. And quite honestly, that's a bunch of bull crap. They just do what it is that you believe is the right thing to do to make you happy. And becoming a bakerpreneur that's what you should pursue relentlessly. Do not stop pursuing it. There's too little time in the world, your world, the one that you are living in, for you to spend listening to other people's whining, complaining, and overall negativity towards your business. You don't got time for that, and those opinions comments are completely irrelevant to your life, to your pursuit for your happiness, which is your bakery. So pursue the bakery, pursue it with everything you've got, and feel proud about that. Now, when I say that you have limited time, I mean that this is your time now, your life now. What you do now is what you have. You don't get another second. So as I'm talking to you and exactly 27 minutes into this video, I have to actually like doing this to make it worth my time. I actually had to like telling you about my story, about the experiences I'm having in this bakery, in this business, about why I believe that it's important to tell you how much it is important for you to be worried about your life in your bakery and your success in a bakery business. So listening to others are not going to help you get forward unless they are specifically meant to help you achieve your goals. It doesn't mean go and ignore everybody. It just means that certain people's opinions are completely irrelevant to you being happy. Someone saying, "Oh, your bakery. A bakery is not. That's going to be a very tough career." Yeah, that's great. Talk to you later. Maybe not. But hey, yeah, bakery. Well, something I found very interesting about the business is recently, yada, yada, yada. And what I find in a positive matter is that if you do X, Y, Z, it seems to be holding a good trend for being a good business opportunity. I will take that. I'll take a note on that. I appreciate that. Thank you for it. I'd rather pursue something that's going to give me an opportunity that someone else might see for me to consider, that might make me more happy, as opposed to someone whose opinion is that this is a doomed cause because 9 out of 10 businesses fail in 5 years. I've heard the statistics many, many times. Don't care about statistics. I'm not a statistic. I'm an individual. My wife's an individual. My business is one of a kind, and it's a successful one. So, and what's the reason for that? Because we just don't give a damn about what other people's whining and complaining is. So imagine what would it be like if you woke up next morning and said, you know what, I'm going to pursue my bakery. and you got started, and you started doing the work, and you started to bake, and you started to market, and you started to generate sales, and you started to get your name out even more, and you started to generate a lot more money so you can grow the business even further. Imagine that, because that is what is important. That pursuit, that tireless, continuous work, where you are striving to meet your own happiness, where you're striving to challenge yourself even more so every single day. Imagine that. Imagine working till midnight or 1 in the morning and wanting to do even better, knowing that you're almost there and want to do a little bit more just so that the next day you feel accomplished. For you, not for others. Others, as a consequence, will also feel happy because, well, you're delivering on an order that they expected. But what they didn't expect is how accomplished you feel for delivering that order, and you want to do it again and again. And as a consequence of that, your family, your friends will see how awesome you are, and that should not be in any means a primary. It should just be, if anything, again, another barometer to show how well you're doing. And if anything, it's a small one at that. If you are pursuing what is most important to you, what makes you happy, what makes you feel accomplished, that is what is going to fulfill your day every single day. Otherwise, you're going to be like many folks who are simply just going about the day whining about the latest news, which is other people's problems, other people's issues. Who cares? So, by starting your bakery, first off, ask, are you ready to get involved with what makes you happy? Are you ready to put in the time, the effort, knowing that it's going to be a tough road at the start, and then it's going to get streamlined, then it's going to get rough again? Are you willing to do that knowing that it's yours? And if so, then pursue it, and pursue it as much as you possibly can. Don't let anyone else get in your way of it. Have fun with it. Enjoy every single minute with it, because that's what we're doing, and it's working pretty darn well so far. All right, guys, I'm going to make it a short one tonight. I wanted to hit on that. It was just really irked me that someone would say that they're embarrassed about their business. And why the hell you'd be embarrassed about your business? Makes no sense to me. Anyway, you all have a good night. If you do have that feeling that you're embarrassed, you want to leave a comment to the world, for the world to see, feel free to do so. I'll be more than happy to respond to you, give you some positive feedback to help you get past that. If you haven't already done so, like the video, subscribe to my channel, and if you know someone who is a bakerpreneur or wants to become a bakerpreneur, feeling kind of embarrassed about doing it, tell them not to feel embarrassed and watch this video. All right, guys, till next week, or until the next tip while driving, hope you have a good night. Take care, everybody.